There's a sad secret here. Sad, sad secret that I want to make sure doesn't happen in your lives. And I'm making sure it doesn't happen in mine. Somewhere in my mother's 40s, something snapped. She began to have violent rages, uncontrollable rages, horrific depression. It wreaked havoc with our family. You know, today I believe she would be diagnosed with an emotional chemical imbalance probably related to hormones and the shift around menopause. But no one knew what to do then. I went to see her gynecologist, the only doctor she really saw regularly. And I said, you know, something's going on. I mean, our family is at wit's end. This is horrific. This is damaging. This is abusive. It's that silent secret no one talks about at the Methodist Church Sunday school suppers. And he said to me, don't embarrass your mother or yourself by coming here again. Have more sex. So, one of the questions that came up when I was here before is, what do you do if you're really still very much in love with your partner, but when you have sex it hurts? Or you have sex and it rips and tears down there. What happens with you as you age is with your hormones, your body makes 3 sex hormones. And this is, you've got physicians here to go into more detail, but I can tell you this much. Your body makes 3 sex hormones: estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Progesterone is the first hormone to drop, and it starts dropping in your early to mid-30s. Then estrogen drops, and that's when you'll start having irregular periods or move into menopause. Estrogen is also the hormone that helps your vaginal area be moist, be fleshy. And when that stops, it begins to atrophy, begins to thin, it begins to weaken. So if you have intercourse, it can be painful. It can also cause friction that causes tears. There can be avenues for infections. This is why you get more urinary tract infections. So there are things to talk about with your physician about what are my options for hormone replacement that might help me with my down theres. Okay, that's that. Also, when your testosterone levels start to drop, which typically happens in your 40s, can't happen before, but in your 40s, then your libido goes down. You're just not in the mood. You'd rather be making a bologna sandwich or watching a rerun of The Good Wife. And it's not because you don't love. It has nothing to do about love. It's about what's going on cellularly. Talks on hormones are that's a whole nother day. We'd have to be here. But if you're interested in knowing more about hormones, from hormone hell to hormone well, it just explains what happens as our bodies age, why from the reproductive ages on, shifts in our hormones happen. This tells you why you put on those pounds around your belly, butt, thighs, and hips and can't get them off. And then we give you some how-tos that everyone can do with your doctor or in your lifestyle choices about certain foods, how to clean up your act, certain exercises, and then In the Mood Again is about your sexuality. This one won the 2010 Bronze National Consumer Health Information Award. This one's in 5 languages. This one came out with Simon & Schuster just about a year ago. And I'm not the medical expert, so if you ask me a question today I can't answer, we'll either take it to your physicians, or if it's something that's more appropriate, this is my husband, and he meets those criteria we talked about earlier. Board certified. He's been doing this for close to 20 years in terms of bioidenticals. He researched, his first research partner was Joel Hargrove, who was at the time the chief of reproductive endocrinology at Vanderbilt University. He was also a close colleague of John Lee, Dr. John Lee, who's now passed, who wrote the books What Your Doctor May Not Tell You About Menopause, Perimenopause, Breast Cancer. He currently interfaces regularly with physicians at Harvard, University of Pennsylvania, University of Texas. So again, if you're talking about your hormones and your health, you need to go to someone who knows what they're doing. And you have physicians in your community who do. So do your homework, come in, ask the questions, and make sure that they're well trained and certified. Here are some other resources. They're also in your handout if you want to know more about that. Hormone Well is our website. WomenInBalance.org was actually founded by Sharon McFarland, who is an Oregonian. And it's a nonprofit repository on research about hormones. You can go see the clinical studies. Virginia Hopkins, the Right Newsletter, lef.org. They're all in your handout. So again, I want to give you tools so that you can do your homework. 2 people have changed the way hormone health is being treated today. 2 people. One of them is Oprah. And Oprah, has a huge ripple effect. But what Oprah did was she, in 2009, had a show, one of her shows, and she brought in Dr. Christian Northrup. You know, Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom. Do y'all remember that book, Women's Bodies? Well, Christian Northrup she brought her in as the guest, and Oprah said, the veil has lifted. I feel like myself again. I'm on bioidentical hormones. So all of a sudden, women all across the universe are saying, what's that? What's that? So she's helped raise the question. Senator Charles Grassley, so here we got, even though she's, here we got the red and blue, that's sort of transverse. But anyway, so you got from all opposite sides of the aisle there. Senator Charles Grassley is a big Republican from Iowa. He started investigating Wyeth Pharmaceuticals. Because remember now, synthetic hormones like Primin and Primpro have been found to be dangerous, very, 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 very dangerous. But the data was out there for years. In fact, the first research with synthetic hormones was done in Auschwitz. The intention was to sterilize the Jewish women so that they would be slave laborers. And it didn't work, didn't sterilize them, but their children were later found to have lower IQs and more birth defects than other women. The data about the dangers of synthetic hormones has been out since the 40s. How come you didn't know? And more importantly, how come your doctors didn't? Because your doctors are here to heal and help you. How come they didn't know? Well, what Senator Grassley is investigating is the pharmaceutical companies paid medical ghostwriters to skew the data, saying that these hormones were safe, they were going to be good for your bones, they were going to be good for your heart. They skewed the data, they misinformed your doctors. All right? So he has now put in place this thing called Physicians Payment Sunshine Act, which says if you are writing an article, you have to disclose who's paying you. We have to know where that tie comes from. We have to know what's in it for you so that our physicians can get the right kind of information they need to help their patients. So good for him. And just as a sidebar, Suzanne Summers has done a lot to get the word up about bioidentical hormones. She's gotten the word up, that's great. She actually interviewed my husband. He was quoted 18 times in her book, Ageless. But she recommends an approach to this that most physicians in the field, most physician experts do not believe in. Called the T.S. Wiley approach, which is not a physician-based program, and she wants you, if you're 80 or 90, to still be having regular periods, which they don't believe in, the medical experts. So just because a celebrity's gotten the word out doesn't mean it's right. Again, go back to the science and do your homework. Because when marketing gets ahead of science, your lives are put at risk. Got it? How will my aging be different? How will yours? What do all of us need to make our next 30, 40, 50, 60 years of life dramatically different and incredibly wonderful, and especially unforgettable? Happy, healthy, unforgettable, unforgettable.